Good evening. It started life as a novelty golf ball finder, and it helped end the lives of hundreds. A businessman took this gadget, a mere aerial on a hinge, and convinced governments in some of the most volatile countries in the world that it was a bomb detector. Newsnight first revealed the scam in 2010, and tonight we can reveal how he bribed senior figures in Iraq to win an $85 million contract. This afternoon, he was found guilty of fraud by the Old Bailey. Caroline Hawley, who broke the original story, reports.
If you believed the sales pitch, this so-called bomb detector could detect explosives more than half a mile away, all powered by no more than the user's static electricity.
People have died in Iraq. How many people's lives have been saved?
Today at the Old Bailey, Jim McCormick was convicted of fraud. His scam began with this, a novelty golf ball finder. In reality, just an aerial on a hinge which couldn't find anything. Jim McCormick bought hundreds of them from the US for $20 each. He then put his own labels on them and sold them as bomb detectors for as much as $5,000 a time. He then created a more advanced looking version, which he called the ADE651. This time it came with special cards, supposedly programmed to detect everything from explosives to ivory, human beings, or even $100 bills. And he sold this version for as much as $55,000 each. Iraq alone spent $85 million buying thousands of them for use at checkpoints from Baghdad to Basra as protection from suicide bombs. We've been told that bribes to senior Iraqi officials helped Jim McCormick sweeten the deal for the bogus devices. This was just one of a series of explosions to rock Baghdad in late 2009. At the height of the bombings, there were calls for the ADE651 to be withdrawn.
Mr. Jim, هو صاحب الشركة ADE651.
Jim McCormick came to Iraq and, with the head of the Baghdad bomb squad, General Jihad al-Jabari, organised a press conference to persuade Iraqis that it worked. We've discovered that the general had been bribed by Jim McCormick. He's now been jailed for corruption, thanks to the work of this man. He's the Inspector General of the Interior Ministry, Akil al-Turayhi. He says his investigation is backed by the Prime Minister, but that other high-ranking officials are implicated in the conspiracy.
I feel furious as a citizen of Iraq when I think that this gang of Jim McCormick and the Iraqis working with him killed my people in cold blood by creating a false sense of security with a useless device.
How many people lost their lives in bombs that passed through checkpoints where this device was being used?
I think hundreds. I don't have the exact statistics, but it was hundreds.
For every bomb stopped, he said, 4 got through, and the explosives that were found were discovered because of tip-offs or by chance. Between 2008 and 2009, over 1,000 Iraqis died in bomb attacks in Baghdad alone. Many more were seriously injured. I met Haneen Alwan in Jordan, where she's come for medical treatment. She's already had 59 operations after she suffered horrific burns in a double bombing in Baghdad in early 2009. She'd been 2 months pregnant at the time and craving ice cream, which she'd gone out to buy when she was caught in the explosion.
My life was completely destroyed. I lost everything in an instant. I was left with nothing. I lost the baby and my husband divorced me.
She had trusted that Jim McCormick's so-called bomb detector used at virtually every checkpoint worked. What do you think of the man who sold these devices?
The man has no conscience. He's morally bankrupt. How could he sell them just for the money and destroy the lives of others? He has no humanity, a useless person.
So what kind of man would sell fake bomb detectors to a country where lives depended on it? This is Jim McCormick on a sales trip to Niger, being filmed by a colleague who had believed that the devices worked. He's now agreed to talk exclusively to Newsnight, as long as we conceal his identity. Which countries did he go to with Jim McCormick to sell these devices?
We flew all around the world. Belgium, Romania, Hong Kong, Niger, Nigeria, Kenya. The training for the Iraqis was done in Turkey.
He started to have suspicions, and then senior army officers in Niger complained that the detectors didn't work. The whistleblower confronted McCormick. What happened when you raised your concerns with Jim McCormick?
Well, I said, if this really doesn't work, I can't be any part of it. He said it does exactly what it's designed to. I said, what's that? I was expecting him to say it detects explosives, ivory, gold. He never said that. He said, it makes money. I said, I want nothing more to do with it. He said, suit yourself, you're walking away from millions. I said, at least I can sleep at night, Jim.
The big contract was in Iraq, and the trick there was to find corrupt middlemen who had signed government contracts to buy the ADE651s. People like the head of the Baghdad bomb squad.
The middlemen don't care if people live or die. They're only interested in one thing. How much am I going to get back? Cash back.
So no question in your mind at all that it was bribery that oiled the wheels of this scam?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely.
Apart from Iraq, one of the places that Jim McCormick sold his bogus bomb detectors was here in Lebanon. A country that had bounced back after the dark days of its civil war. He sold them to the Lebanese army and to the United Nations peacekeeping force along the border with Israel. But UNIFIL became suspicious when Mr. McCormick couldn't produce evidence that showed that they could detect explosives. It conducted a series of tests and found that they didn't work. There was something else that brought Jim McCormick to Beirut. The city, once the financial capital of the Middle East, is still a playground for the rich, a freewheeling place where money can be easily spent and laundered. It was, our source says, where McCormick came to pay his bribes to the Iraqis. The whistleblower says he came here to a bank in Beirut and witnessed Jim McCormick organising the payoffs, that he watched as he arranged for bank accounts to be set up under false names. 3 Iraqis have so far been arrested for corruption over the deals, but the whistleblower says he saw a list of around 15 names. Our source says the Iraqi officials were issued with bank cards which allowed them to take out large sums of money from cash machines anywhere in the world without being traced. He also says that electronic transfers were made to other accounts. McCormick could afford to give bribes to the Iraqis. He bought exclusive properties in Bath, including this one, sold to him by Hollywood film star Nicolas Cage, complete with Roman-style indoor swimming pool. His profits also funded a country home in Somerset, smart cars and dressage horses, as well as houses in Cyprus and Florida, and a yacht. It was Iraq that paid the price. Shockingly, the British government had been alerted months before Haneen was injured that the device was a scam, but nothing was done to prevent its sale. When our whistleblower walked out on McCormick in 2008, he made it his mission to take the bogus bomb detector out of circulation, teaming up with other campaigners to warn the Ministry of Defence, as well as those who'd bought the device. By 2009, the American military was also sounding the alarm, and Avon and Somerset police began investigating. But McCormick was still freely plugging the ADE651.
In ideal conditions, you can be up to 1 kilometre away.
A kilometre?
A kilometre.
Right, so this card will help this device spot explosives a kilometre away.
Under ideal conditions, correct.
McCormick claimed in a BBC interview in 2009 that the cards were the key. So in early 2010, we decided to put his claims to the test with the help of the Cambridge Computer Laboratory. McCormick said this card had been programmed to detect TNT. We wanted to find out what was really inside it.
These are shop theft prevention cards. These are the cheapest bit of electronics that you can get that look vaguely electronic and are sufficiently flat to fit inside a card.
it couldn't be programmed then to detect TNT?
Absolutely not.